Another week and another great episode of Loki Season 2. They just cannot miss, man. If you couldn't tell, I just finished watching episode 3 of Season 2 of Loki, and we get to talk about it because a lot happens. But quick warning that I am going to be recapping the entire episode and giving you my honest spoiler-filled thoughts of the episode, so if you're not trying to be spoiled, make sure you drop a like, follow, but come back after because I need to hear your thoughts. We pick up this episode with what Ravonna Renslayer has been up to this whole time. Apparently, she traveled back to 1868 Chicago, Illinois on the Sacred Timeline, where she met up with Miss Minutes, who gave her some special instructions to deliver a package to this little hut. And it turns out the recipient of this package is a young variant of He Who Remains. And the package was the TVA handbook. Back at the TVA, they figured out where Ravonna Renslayer is, but everything's still to shit. The loom's still who knows how long from exploding. So it's Loki and Mobius True Detective time. They travel back to 1868, but they notice he's not there anymore. They fast forward a couple years to 1893. Quick side note, but I really like this moment of them admiring Odin, Thor, and they make a funny comment about Balder the Brave being there and not Loki. But they find this newspaper headline that screams, "This is where Ravonna Renslayer and Miss Minutes are," as Miss Minutes is seen as a ghost clock, which is when Loki notices something. The word temporal, and a presentation that this person called Victor Timely is going to be given on temporal marvels. And we learn that this is where Ravonna Renslayer is at, observing this presentation from Victor Timely, who turns out to be a variant of Kang. He's played as like this mad scientist by Jonathan Major with like a speech impediment, but you could just tell the fear that this man holds in Loki's heart as he gives a presentation on his prototype of the temporal loom itself, and he steals the show. Ravonna tries to get Victor Timely's attention, but a bidding war for his temporal loom breaks out. He ends up selling the prototype for 1,000 buckaroonies, and then Ravonna tries to make conversation with him until Loki and Mobius show up and try to explain things to him. But a bunch of people in the town are upset with all of the other prototypes that Victor Timely has sold them, and they chase after him, so he has to run away. Luckily, Loki finds him, but unluckily, so does Sylvie. And you already know what time it is when she sees a He Who Remains variant. We had a cool little conversation about the morality of the TVA and their roles in it between Ravonna and Mobius. All the while, Loki tries to explain why Sylvie cannot kill Victor Timely, this version of He Who Remains. They need him to fix the temporal loom, otherwise everything's gonna go to shit. And Sylvie explains that they're the ones who mess everything up anyway. It's all a time loop. She gives him the book that he receives back in time. And it's funny because this is really just the same exact scene from the season finale of Loki season 1, except this time they get away. And Miss Minute turns into a fucking kaiju as a distraction. Sylvie blames Loki for them getting away. Victor Timely and Ravonna go back to his little hut, which is where they explain who he's meant to be. And Miss Minutes is plotting something else. They take a trip back to his Wisconsin home, and you can see the seeds being planted between Victor Timely and Ravonna falling in love until she mentions them being in a partnership. Then he drops Ravonna faster than Rose did Jack. And it's funny because you could tell Miss Minutes is manipulating him. She's like the little devil on his shoulder. She wants to be his fucking girlfriend and confronts him about why he never made her a real body. So he shuts that off real quick. But guess who was lurking in the shadows? Ravonna's there with a prototype of a prune stick. But Loki and Mobius show up just in time and try to talk her down. But she's really pissed off of being like a pawn at the TVA all these years and is really pissed that Victor betrayed her. But then Sylvie shows up and says, "Yeah, fuck y'all. I'm gonna get mine back in blood." And as she's about to kill Victor Timely, we actually get a pretty cool performance from Jonathan Majors here, proving that he could possibly change. And he tries to convince Sylvie, and successfully does, that he's a good man and can always change and not be who she knows. So she lets him go back to the TVA, which is already 1,000 times better than what happened last season. But she tells him they better get this right. But now she's got a bone to pick with Ravonna Renslayer, as this is the TVA's her into a fucking time portal and sends her ass back, forward to the end of time with He Who Remains' dead body. And it's there she gets the temp pad and brings back Miss Minutes, who is now officially pissed off that Victor Timely betrayed her as well. And she apparently knows a big secret about Ravonna Renslayer, but it's gonna piss Ravonna Renslayer off even more. And that's where we cut the episode off. And I got a big feeling Miss Minutes knows who Ravonna Renslayer really is, and I cannot wait to see next episode. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below, and as always, like and follow for more.